Today's video is about development of spinal cord. So as you already know that this is the caudal end of neural tube, and from this caudal end of neural tube spinal cord will develop. So therefore I have written that from the caudal end of neural tube the future spinal cord develops. Now that I want to show the superficial sections of caudal end of neural tube. So this is a superficial section, and here later this part will help you to easily understand the formation of spinal cord development. So this is the cavity or lumen, this is the lateral wall, and this is the roof plate, and this is the floor plate. If you see that this roof plate and floor plate, they are thinner as compared to the lateral wall. So therefore that I have written that in the caudal end of neural tube, the roof plate and floor plate, they are thinner as compared to the lateral wall. Now, so here further subdivisions of lateral wall of neural tube. So here, so this is the initial lateral wall. Now here that this lateral wall, so here has been divided into three layers. So the first layer, which is contact with the lumen, is the ependymal layer, and the most outer one is the marginal layer, and between the outer and inner there is a middle layer, basically mental layer. So therefore ependymal, mental and marginal, these are the layers of the lateral wall from inside to outside. So therefore that I have written that the lateral wall of neural tube further subdivided into three layers: ependymal layer, mental layer and marginal layer. Now this is the initial diagram. So here if you see that, but now here if you see that we compare to the previous one, that this is the way. So this is the ventral part of the lumen, and this is the dorsal part, and this is the ventral part of the whole neural tube, and this is the dorsal part of the whole neural tube. So if you see that with respect to the previous one, that the ventral part of the lumen of the cavity has been narrowed, whereas the dorsal part remains as it was there. But here if you see so here basically the ventral part of the neural tube, the ventral part of the neural tube has become widened. Now the ventral part of neural tube known as basal lamina, whereas the dorsal part is known as alar lamina. Now I am going to tell you the reason why. So therefore you see that the ventral part of the cavity of the neural tube becomes narrow, while the ventral part of the neural tube widens. Why? Because of the faster growth of the mental zone. This is a faster growth of the mental zone in the ventral part of neural tube. So now I will discuss what is sulcus limitans. Sulcus limitans. So here that this is the lumen of the neural tube. So as you already know that this ventral part has been compressed, whereas the dorsal part remains as it was there. Now here there is a line which is separating this dorsal part from the compressed ventral part, and that line is known as sulcus limitans. So therefore I have written that the line separating the dorsal part from the compressed ventral part, and that line is known as sulcus limitans. So therefore that's all about. Now here as you already know that that this is the, so here basal lamina. So here this is the basal lamina, and this is the dorsal lamina. Sorry, it is a basal lamina and it's a alar lamina. So here basically in future here motor neurons will develop, and here here sensory neurons will develop. And also that due to this also, so here in the spinal cord of the normal human being, you find that the motor neurons, they are in the ventral position, and the sensory neurons, they are in the dorsal part. You will study about this in anatomy also, gross. Therefore that in future the cells of basal lamina form motor neurons, whereas the cells of alar lamina form sensory neurons. So here if you see that this spinal cord is slowly acquiring its normal definitive form of the adult, as you know, see in this screen. Why? Because of the faster or continuous growth of this middle layer, mental layer. So therefore as you know that due to continuous growth of the mental layer of the lateral wall, the spinal cord is gradually acquiring its definitive form. Now so here again this is the diagram. So here this is the alar lamina, this is the dorsal part of lumen. So now here basically I want to talk about the growth of alar lamina. Now here you see that due to this continuous growth of the LR lamina, that this so here basically dorsal part of lumen which was there initially, it has been completely obliterated. Why? Because of this continuous growth of LR lamina. Now that this is known as, so here basically primary median septum. Now here basically but the ventral part of lumen remains, but now this ventral part of lumen so here gets converted to central canal of spinal cord. So therefore that I have written that with growth of LR lamina, the dorsal part of the lumen of the neural tube becomes completely obliterated. As a result, the formation of posterior median septum occurs. And also, as I already mentioned, the ventral part of the lumen becomes central canal. So now about the anterior median fissure. So now here you see that, as I already noted, this is the LR lamina and this is the basal lamina. So if you see the two diagram, so therefore with respect to this, so here basically enlargement of basal lamina occurs. Now here if you see that due to the enlargement of the basal lamina, between the two enlarged parts of the basal lamina, basically space or a basically furrow made between these two projections of the basal lamina, and that is known as anterior median fissure. So therefore that I have written that the basal lamina projects forward on either side of the midline. As you see that this is the midline, so therefore on either side of the midline, so on either side of the midline, as you see here that this is a midline on this, so therefore as you see here that this is a midline, on this either side of this midline basically that this basal lamina enlarges, and due to this enlargement of the basal lamina, a furrow made between these two enlarged parts of basal lamina, as this the basal lamina projects forward. So therefore I have written that the basal lamina projects forward on either side of the midline by leaving a furrow between the two projecting parts of the basal lamina. As a result, that a furrow made, and that furrow is known as anterior median fissure. So friends, as you already noted, this is the mental layer, and here and in this mental layer basically nerve cells so here develop in the mental layer, and this is the basal lamina, and in this basal lamina this is a basal lamina, so here nerve cells that develop in the mental of this basal lamina, they will constitute the, so here basically motor neurons, and in this LR lamina they will constitute the, so here dorsal neurons, and therefore they together form, so here anterior gray column and posterior gray column. So therefore I have written that nerve cells develop in the in the mental zone of the basal lamina, and they become anterior gray column, whereas nerve cells developing in this in the mental zone of the LR lamina, they become posterior gray column. So friends, as I already mentioned that, so here this is a posterior gray column, this is the anterior gray column, and here neurons are there. So these are the neurons. Now here basically, so these are the axons of these neurons, and you can notice that this is the mental layer and this is the marginal layer, and the axons of this neuron extending into this marginal layer. As a result, now these are known as dorsal nerve roots or ascending tracts. Similarly, the axons of the neurons of anterior gray column extending into this marginal layer to form ventral nerve roots, or these are also known as descending tracts. Now here together, ascending and descending tracts, they together make this marginal layer into white matter. So therefore I have written that the axons of the neurons of the posterior gray column extend into the marginal layer to form dorsal nerve roots or ascending tracts. Similarly, the axons of the neurons of the anterior gray column extend into the marginal layer to form ventral nerve roots or descending tracts. And also ascending tracts and descending tracts, they together, so here convert the marginal layer into white matter, and also further divisions of this white matter will also be done. So see friends, this is a further divisions of the white matter. So posterior white matter, lateral white matter, and anterior white matter. So white matter further divide into three parts, as I already mentioned. So that's all about development of spinal cord. Now this is the, so here normal spinal cord which is there in our body. So first of all, you can see here this is the central canal which is formed from the ventral part of the lumen. So here So this is the posterior gray column and this is the anterior gray column. These are formed from the mantle layer. And this is the posterior median septum. This is from due to the obliteration of the dorsal part of the lumen. And this is the whole white matter, and this whole white matter formed due to the extension of the axons of these neurons present in posterior and anterior gray column into the here marginal layer. So this is the white matter. Later this white matter divide into posterior white matter, lateral white matter and anterior white matter. That's all. So therefore basically key points. So therefore the first, that is lateral wall divide into 3 layers. And again, so here basically that is mantle layer undergoes so here faster growth as a result of that. So here central canal form, and also basically that is LR lamina also undergoes faster growth. So here posterior median septum growth. So that's all about development of spinal cord.